everybody. Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so glad that you could join our Latest with Laura. That always cracks me up. I'm so glad that you are here. And tonight we're going to talk about specifically how redox signaling molecules can empower your cells to work better and heal faster. And tonight we're going to focus on tick-borne illnesses. But let me first explain what's in this stuff, because there are a lot of new people I can see on our Zoom. This is basically a replication of what your mitochondria make, one of the things that your mitochondria make. And it just empowers your cells to work better and heal faster, as I said. And specifically how it does that is it helps with cellular communication. So it amplifies and it clarifies the signals between and within your cells. So they're just talking to each other better. It sort of wakes up the inner doctor in your cells and makes them go, ooh, like there's something that we need to deal with. And in addition to helping with cellular communication, it will boost your antioxidants. So, for example, efficacy of glutathione goes up by more than 800%. Superoxide dismutase, that goes up by, the efficacy of that goes up by about 500%. So it just means that your immune system is going to be fortified. And then what I especially love is that this turns on genes. So it will help the genes in the areas of your, for your cardiac system, your immune system, your inflammatory system, your digestive system, and your hormone modulation. So just makes all of that stuff work better. And so tonight I've been asked to talk about tick-borne illnesses. I've got so many testimonies. And my first one is she's one of the very first clients that I ever had. And when I met her, she had been to 54 doctors that year. And the last two had said, it's time to plan your funeral. It's time to call everybody that you love to say goodbye. And so we got together, and it was interesting. I let her have a few squirts of the ACEA in her mouth so she could get an idea of what it tastes like. And she immediately, she says, oh, there's ammonia in here. I'm like, no, there's no ammonia in here, but this is amazing at pulling out toxins. And so whatever is in your body that shouldn't be there, it's going to bring it out and you might taste it. And so this person grew up on a farm surrounded by pesticides. So for her, it tasted like ammonia. And she really had an interesting experience, and her testimonial will illustrate how more works better than less. And she called me up. She knew she wanted it. She liked it. She was just drawn to it. But it did make her feel not so good in the beginning. And she was going through detox. People who have tick-borne illnesses, also people who have been exposed to mold, tend to have a detox reaction. And so, you know, we want everybody to feel better right away, but sometimes you will feel worse. And really, that's just a sign of your cells kind of waking up and thinking, oh gosh, I got to do this. And so it can stir some things up. You could feel worse. And the creepy crawly critters, if they're inside you, they're not going to like this. They're actually going to get angry. They can make you feel kind of miserable as they're being expelled out of your body. And that was happening for her. And she called me up after having maybe about a week's worth of it. And she's like, oh, Laura, I need to go to the hospital. And I said, by all means, if you need to go to the hospital, please go to the hospital. And she's like, I don't want to go to the hospital. And I said, let me get a doctor on the phone for you. So I did. And he asked her, how much are you drinking? And she said 4 ounces. Now, that's fair because that's what it suggests on the bottle. But I just want to let you know that the reason it says 4 ounces is not because that's what our company suggests that you have. It's because we're in 34 different countries. We needed the regulations, departments of 34 countries to agree on a number. And if there's a grumpy guy in Thailand who's just like, I feel very strongly that there should only be 4 ounces on the label here. Well, that's what we're going to do. But more works better than less. You just follow your intuition, do what's right for you. Me, I have a whole bottle a day because I get to be friends with a medical atomic physicist who figured out all the science involved with this. I know all this great stuff. To me, it's just the best investment I could ever make in myself. But you know, you do whatever is good for you. And anyway, she said that she was having 4 ounces, and the doctor's like, okay, you have a choice here. You can go through this detox experience for quite a while, and it feels pretty yucky, or power through it, have more, and just get it over with. So that's what she chose to do. She started having a bottle a day. And that day I was just kind of concerned about her. And she only lives about a half hour from me. So I thought, I'm going to drive over to her home. I'm going to bring her groceries. I'm going to bring her flowers. I just wanted to put a smile on her face. I expected to have to let myself into her home. And I thought I was just going to find her semi-comatose on her couch. And I got there, she was in the backyard, and she had these two ginormous buckets of water, and she's zigzagging around the backyard. She's watering not only her plants, but also her trees. And she's like, I haven't felt this great in years. And she was telling me about her plans of all these great things that she was going to do that day. And anyway, she is thriving now. We saved her. And a little side note, in the very beginning, when and I shouldn't say that we saved her. We empowered her cells to work better. We don't make any medical claims, but this, without a doubt, it turns on the genes. It helps your immune system by boosting your antioxidants. It helps with your cellular communication. Just makes every health challenge better because every health challenge involves cells. Anyway, she was seeing a lot of doctors, and we started becoming friends. And I was just like, this next doctor's appointment that you have to go to is kind of far away, like an hour away. Do you really feel comfortable driving that distance? Do you want me to be your buddy? Want me to go with you? I can just sit there quietly and be an extra pair of ears and eyes for you and take notes. It was not my intention at all to talk about ASEA with this doctor. I just thought she needed a friend. And so I went with her, and we went in, and she told the doctor, she's like, everything that you've suggested that I do makes me feel worse. And he said, is there anything that makes you feel better? And she said, yes. And she held up this. And then he looked at the ingredients. The ingredients say water and sodium chloride, salt water. And please know, this is not salt water. This is not saline solution. We would not have all the patents that we have if this were just salt water. We would not be in 34 countries if this was salt water, but it does start as salt water. And what our medical atomic physicist did was he figured out, how do you break apart salt water molecules? And he wanted to start with salt water because that's what your mitochondria have access to. That's what they get to play with. That's what they get to build with. And so if you take the salt water and split it up using energy. So then you've got hydrogen, oxygen, sodium, and chloride. Rearrange those atoms and turn them into what your mitochondria make. It's brilliant. And so it starts off as salt water, ends up as something entirely different. And I like the analogy, diamonds and graphite and pencils, they're both 100% carbon atoms. It's just the way the atoms are arranged yields a different product. So anyway, when he saw water and a little bit of sodium chloride, he's like, this is, and then he had a whole bunch of bad words to say, which my kids used to watch SpongeBob SquarePants all the time, and SpongeBob would refer to those as sentence enhancers. So he had a lot of very unkind things to say about redox signaling molecules. And so I thought I would just kind of sit there quietly, but he's attacking my baby, And so then I spoke up and I said, well, I see by your diploma on the wall that you graduated from medical school long before those 6 Nobel Prizes were won in the field of redox science. And I understand that you are an amazing doctor. You probably don't have a lot of time to get on pubmed.gov, which is where doctors and scientists put their double-blind placebo-controlled studies, and there's hundreds of thousands of them on it. And he said, get out. So I did. And then 2 weeks go by, and I go back with my friend just to be her buddy. And I wasn't going to say much, but I was just being her friend. And he had taken blood tests the 2 weeks before, and he looked at them and looked at her. And by then she's just like vibrant and radiant and so great. And he's like, I don't understand how you're alive. And with these blood test results, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst I've ever seen, it's like a 14. What's going on? And she just held up the bottle. So then he was interested. And then I got him connected with doctors on our medical board, and he learned. And he started sending me all of his tricky cases that he kind of thought were hopeless. And so that was really, really good. And I have one of them, by the way. I have a medical report from one of his clients. She had 29 diagnoses, and one of them is tick-borne illness. And then I have laminated what he wrote about it. And he said, my assessment is that the transformation that has occurred in this patient's health is nothing short of miraculous. And then he lists all the different symptoms she was dealing with. And then he said, all of these symptoms have resolved entirely, apparently due to the effects of ASEA. Ta-da! And so that's this person's story, but there's a little bit more to the first person's story that I wanted to tell you about. I was just kind of launching my business at that time, and I did a lunch and learn at a chiropractor's office, and I was so excited to just, you know, I just want to share the good news about redox. Just want to help people, and I advertised in a big way about this lunch and learn, and come learn about this Nobel Prize winning technology and help your cells heal. And all these people responded, got lots of RSVPs. And I made food, made lots of cookies, and I called the people the day before to confirm that they were coming. I asked some of them, hey, do you need a ride? Want me to provide transportation? I was trying to fill up the room. Everybody's like, oh, we're coming. You can count on us. And then nobody showed up. Nobody showed up. I was so sad. And then I went home with all of my food, and I called my friends, Masami Handloff and Maureen Hayes. They're both diamonds in this company. And I just wanted to whine and complain and get some sympathy. And they just laughed at me. They say they were not laughing at me. They say they were laughing with me, but I was not laughing. And it was because they had been through it too, they say. And so, still feeling sorry for myself, I ate all the cookies. And then I felt fat and put on my fat pants, my yoga pants. And then, still feeling sorry for myself, then I got a phone call, and it was that first person. And she's like, thank you for saving my life. And so it was at that point, that was a pivotal moment for me when I was just like, I have found my purpose. This is it. So we've got those testimonials. And then, you know, in this person, let me just say, when somebody tells me that they think the ASEA is too expensive, I'm sorry, I don't accept that. This person was actually homeless. She showed up on my doorstep in her car. She had a car. So she shows up with her dog and all of her belongings in her car. She'd spent all of her money on medical bills. And she thought that this was going to work. And so she, you know, put the first payment on the credit card. But because she shared the good news about redox and told a few people, well, then the product just became free from her. It's basically $1 an ounce. But anyway, she's not homeless anymore. She's got a wonderful business, and she's completely restored her health. I'm always seeing her on Facebook doing these amazing things. Okay, so that's her story. Then here's a story about someone named Christine. She's like the only person I know who did not go through the detox when they were dealing with a tick-borne illness. Usually when you're dealing with a tick-borne illness, you can feel yucky before you feel good. But she just went straight to feeling good. She'd been dealing with her challenge for about 3 years, and her husband was used to coming home from work and finding his wife asleep on the couch. She would normally go to bed around 4 o'clock in the afternoon every day and then just sleep through the night. And he got home from work, and she was outside and she was washing her car. And then he's like, what is going on here? And then she's like, hey, I feel really good. Let's go for a walk. And they walked for 2 miles. And then a few days later, she went to the dentist, and the dentist said that there was just this remarkable transformation. I'm looking for a book. Here we go. Her mouth was just so much healthier. And because people with these tick-borne illnesses frequently their mouths will reflect that. And so the dentist became a very good ASEA distributor. And we've got so many dentists in our ASEA family. One of them is Dr. Lee Osler. You can see him most Friday nights on discoverasea.com. He gets on with a few people from the medical board every Friday night, 9 o'clock Eastern time, and always does great presentation. So he wrote a number of books. This one's my favorite of his. And he's the past president of the American Academy for Oral Systemic Health. So wonderful dentist who endorses ASEA. Another book I like, by the way, One Disease, Redox, and Balance. So redox, it's a combination of the words reductants and oxidants. And basically, that's what this is. It's just replenishing your body. It's a bioreplenishment of the oxidants and reductants that should be in your body. And whenever you have any health challenge, it's just a reflection that your oxidants and reductants are out of balance. And so the premise of this book is every single health challenge stems from an imbalance with your oxidants and your reductants. Okay, I'm going to tell you more testimonials. I see you laughing at me, Beth. Okay, this one is a person who he is not in my downline, but one of my friends was telling me about him. The little boy who was in a coma, I think, for about a month, and the doctors were saying it's about time to end the life support, and somebody had sent the parents a tube of the Renew 28. So this is the gel. It's the exact same product as the drink. This is just more concentrated. This heals you from the outside in. This heals you from the inside out on a systemic level. And so the mom had said to the doctor, "You think this might help?" And the doctor said, "No." And the doctors left the room and they immediately started coating the boy in this. Hours later, he wakes up out of his coma and he asks for a hamburger. So there's that story. Then okay, I'm going to talk about the grandchildren, if I can find it. Here we go. Of Dr. Richard Michael, who is on the ASEA Medical Board. 5 of his grandkids had a tick-borne illness. And so here's something that the mom of the children wrote. Okay, the difference redox molecules made in the life of our family since July of 2017 has been dramatic. 5 of our children were diagnosed with tick-borne infections in 2012. For 5 years, we had felt like we were on a never-ending cycle of hospital stays, doctor appointments, treatments, protocols, and more treatments. We had tried long-term antibiotics, 8 months for 5 of our children, homeopathics, natural remedies, diet changes, supplements, etc. We have been in the hospital multiple times with each of the 5 children. We have spent over $200,000 out of pocket, not including the $500,000 in hospital stays that were covered by insurance, on treatments and for the chronic illnesses. Our children were each taking 19 to 21 supplements daily, going to the doctor twice per week, and completing regular protocols that were very expensive. When Gideon, at age 12, was admitted to Duke Hospital for 50 days as a result of his chronic illness from 2016 to 2017, we were introduced to redox molecules through a wonderful functional medicine doctor in Raleigh and a generous friend from high school who sent us a case of redox signaling supplement pouches in the mail. We started slow, but after a period of about 2 months, we started seeing major changes. After about 5 months on the product, we were living life as a healthy family, something that had not happened in the previous 5 years. Those improvements have continued the longer the children have been taking these molecules. For the previous 5+ years, we had spent many days and nights in the hospital with our children as a result of their chronic illness. But since July of 2017 to October of 2018, we have not had a child in the hospital as a result of their chronic health issues, and our children seem to be getting more healthy every day. No more GI issues, fewer headaches, and if they have one, they simply put redox gel on it and it goes away. No more continuous joint pain, joint swelling, muscle soreness are all gone. Brain fog is gone. Skin issues have cleared up and energy levels are up, just to name a few of the improvements. We now only have to take them to the doctor for their checkups twice per year. We continue to see the healing effects of the redox molecules in their bodies each day, and after 15 months, the symptoms of the chronic illness that dominated all of our family's time, energy, and money are gone. Thank you for giving our children the chance to live healthy lives. So that's Richard's story. Now, okay, also, if you go to the website, www.realredoxresults.com, the password is redox, and if you click on tick bite, there's 3 more testimonials that you can watch the videos for there. It's a great website. There's about 150 testimonials, all different topics. It just shows that it helps your cells work better, but there's 3 regarding tick bites, and I'm not going to share those with you because how much time do we have? Because you can just go there yourself, but I'm going to share, I've saved the best for last, and let me pull up a picture if I can find it. Here we go. I don't know if you can see this. It's a thermometer. It says 107.2. This is the reason I will never, ever turn off or silence my phone. So 2 years ago, my daughter went to bed with a headache. And for some reason, she felt like she should take a thermometer to bed with her. And my phone was turned off. And in the wee hours of the morning, she sent that picture to people in the family. I was the only one home. Everybody started calling me saying, you know, call 911. I was asleep, didn't get any of the messages. Luckily, my daughter was home. She had the strength to crawl into my room and collapse on my bed holding that thermometer. And I saw the thermometer. So 107.2. If your fever is 105.5, they say that's when it's deadly. It cooks your brain. Hers was 107.2. I always have this within arm's reach. So I grabbed this, and you guys just always have some of this with you. And what you do in any emergency is you take giant gobs of the goo and you rub it all over the neck where the carotid arteries are. Just smear it all over the neck, put it around the ears, put it all over the belly region. You have so many blood capillaries down there. It just gets absorbed and it gets distributed to where it needs to go. Also the bottom of the feet. So I loaded her up with gel, picked up my 21-year-old, carried her into the car, sped off to the hospital. This was during the height of COVID. So then I felt like I'm this mama bear at the time. And I felt like an offensive lineman on a football team. All these people are trying to block me and wondering, have I been outside the country? You know, they were asking me all the typical COVID questions, and I was just like, let me through. And I got her through. And when the doctors could see her, then they got into action. And wow, she was having problems. There was a swelling. It looked like this on her head. It looked like a half a grapefruit on top of her head. And if I touched it, it was all liquidy, all gelatinous. That was going on. They did an EKG. You know how it's supposed to have these little blips going up? Hers were upside down. They thought she was having a heart attack. There was fluid around her heart. It was awful. But okay, here's one really great thing about being part of the Sia family. Even though there were always 3 or 4 doctors in the room with my daughter and me, I felt like I had 100 because I'm connected to a Sia. So I had Maureen Hayes was just on standby the entire time. She was getting all these other doctors from North America. Everybody's checking in with me every few minutes, and we didn't know what the problem was. And so I had all these doctors saying, ask them this. And the doctor would say something, they say, well, here's the follow-up question. Do this, don't do this. It's wonderful. And you know what, you're in my downline, you have access to all these doctors too. You get me on the phone if you have a problem. I'll get the people on the medical board if you need that. So anyway, they rolled her over, and luckily there was a bullseye on her that indicated, oh, tick bite. Okay, so they took appropriate action. When we were able to bring her out of the hospital, it was still kind of scary for me. And basically I sat on her bed next to her, and I didn't sleep for 3 days or nights. And it was really hard for her to open her eyes. It was really hard. Her jaw was like shut. Her mouth was almost always closed, but anytime it just separated, just like a half a centimeter, I would put the redox in. I would put a little morsel of food. I was just trying to get get what I need to get in her. And after about 3 days, then she could talk better. And I know that when people have a tick-borne illness, it's really good to do biomagnetic therapy. So I figured out who the best one was in the Northeast, and we went there. And the person tested my kid, and she was like, "Ho ho ho!" She's like, "There are so many co-infections. This is very involved." And I said, "Well, we're going to do whatever we have to do." And she's like, "This could be years of very regular treatments. Be prepared." I'm like, "Okay, sign me up. Got to do what we got to do." And so then I brought her home, and then nonstop, I just kept loading her up. And we went back the next week, and the biomagnetic therapist tested her, and she's like, "I don't understand. Her immune system has cleared it all. There is no trace of any infection in your daughter." So there you go. Always have one of these with you, you guys. Okay, we are at the top of the hour. Beth, do you want to put in Jerry? Oh, she just did it. She's so on top of things. Jerry's call is starting in 3 minutes. If you are someone interested in building the business, I encourage you to hop onto his Zoom. And he's brilliant. He's one of my closest friends on the medical board. But I will stay on as long as you'd like and answer questions about anything you want to talk about. Beth, do you want to stop the recording? And thank you, everybody, for being here.